Let's take a look at some of the market indexes from this morning. Asian markets a bit mixed, with the Shanghai Composite Index in bearish territory. Kospi in Korea up by 16 basis points. The Hang Seng and the Nikkei 225 in Hong Kong and Japan, respectively, heading downwards as well. Crypto prices still continue to fall. Bitcoin down by 182 basis points, still below the $30,000 mark. Ethereum down below 2,000 from where it was yesterday. Binance Coin, a big drop of 419 basis point drop. XRP in the same region as well. And global exchange rates, looking at the US dollar, appreciating against the euro, the pound. Well, actually a mixed bag there as far as the dollar is concerned against the basket of currencies. We're joined now by Lukman Otunuga, Senior Research Analyst with FXTM. Lukman, thanks for joining us. Good morning to you. As far as the market outlook for this week, I think we'll start with the, Asian, European, US markets. How do you see things turning out?
Thank you for having me here today. We've got a really mixed sentiment across markets. There's a lot going on. We've got earnings seasons, economic data from major economies, some report from the US today, and the fact that there's shifting expectations over what to expect from the Federal Reserve of other central banks. Just for example, this morning, we had data from the UK that showed inflation is still sticky, and this narrative is really leaving investors on edge. I think the mood is going to be mixed, especially in European and US markets, with all eyes on earnings, more economic data from the US to really evaluate what the Fed's going to do over the next few months.
And as far as the, from the markets moving to the currencies, we just looked at what the US dollar was doing earlier this morning. How do you see the currency play for the next few days, at least for what we've seen in the last 24 hours and going forward?
Certainly. Before we speak this morning, I was looking at the biggest movers. The biggest movers are the British pound and the Japanese yen. Again, with inflation at 10.1% in the UK, this has reinforced market expectations of the Bank of England, not only hiking rates next month, but possibly extending its rate hiking cycle, offering support to the pound. The yen is weakening due to the fact that we're seeing yields rising due to rate hike expectations. I think moving forward, though, the fact that markets are still expecting some more action from central banks, this is supporting the dollar, the Australian US dollar, commodity currencies, ahead of another busy week. And
what about precious metals? Is with inflation rising over in the UK, rising at a lower, still maintaining its highs, the double-digit highs, would that push, investors to gold as a safe haven? How do you see the currency, precious metal play?
That's an interesting question. Actually, gold prices have actually tumbled back below that psychological 2000 level this morning, and it's all based on these rate hike talks, rate hike expectations. Ultimately is the shifting speculations around what the Fed and other central banks will do that continues to influence gold. We've seen the dollar appreciating, which is pushing the yellow metal higher. If you look at Fed futures, markets are now pricing around the 88% probability that the Federal Reserve is going to hike rates next month, and they've pushed back expectations over a rate cut into 2024. So gold is likely to find itself under pressure in the near term, but ultimately, when the global rate hike cycle slowly comes to an end, the precious metal should shine.
Very, very interesting seeing how those things interplay with each other. What about the black gold, oil? How is that going to be playing out?
I think a storm could be brewing in oil markets due to economical, political, and even technical factors. Economically, we saw earlier in the week that economic growth from the largest energy consumer in the world, China, exceeded expectations, rising 4.5% in the quarter, despite the uneven growth. On top of this, I said about the global hiking cycle coming to an end, ushering a new era of lower interest rates, which will ultimately support demand for oil. Politically, the OPEC shocker we saw in April and the fact that there's still ongoing sanctions for Russian oil are going to create fears of a tighter supply outlook. Gazprom actually has already warned that in Europe will find it very difficult to refill its gas stockpiles for next winter. So that's something to really look at. And technically, WTI crude and Brent are slightly, in negative territory year to date, but the aggressive appreciation we saw earlier this month has pushed both to psychological key levels. I think higher prices could be on the horizon, but we just need the right fundamental spark.
Great stuff. Lukman Otunuga, Senior Research Analyst with FXTM. Thank you so much for taking us through the index. Appreciate your time.